It all
Started with a simple check-in, something I'd done 100 times before. But that night, everything changed. I never imagined what I'd find when I looked in on my stepson. What began as a quiet evening at home turned into a moment that would unravel secrets I never saw coming. Secrets that would force me to question everything I thought I knew about my family, my marriage, and even myself. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet that feels heavy, like the calm before a storm. My husband Thomas was away on another business trip, something I'd grown used to over the years. But this time, the loneliness felt sharper, more suffocating. I poured myself a glass of wine, hoping to ease the restlessness that had been gnawing at me all day. That's when I heard it, a faint noise from upstairs. At first, I thought it was the wind or the house settling, but then I heard it again. Footsteps. My heart skipped a beat. Lucas, my stepson, was supposed to be out with friends. What was he doing home so early? I climbed the stairs, my mind racing with excuses for why I was checking on him. But when I pushed the door open slightly, what I saw stopped me in my tracks. Lucas wasn't alone. He was sitting on the edge of his bed, his face pale, his hands trembling as he held something in his lap. Something I couldn't quite make out from the doorway. My breath caught in my throat. "Lucas," I whispered, my voice barely audible. He looked up, his eyes wide with a mix of shock and something else, something I couldn't quite place. Fear? Guilt? Before I could say another word, he quickly shoved whatever he was holding under his pillow and stood up, blocking my view. "Ava," he said, his voice strained. "What are you doing here?" I didn't know how to answer. The tension in the room was thick, almost suffocating. I wanted to ask him what was going on, to demand an explanation, but the look in his eyes stopped me. It was a look I'd never seen before, one that made me feel like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, about to fall into something I couldn't come back from. That night I went to bed with more questions than answers. What was Lucas hiding? And why did it feel like whatever it wasn't just about him? The next morning I tried to shake off the unease, telling myself I was overreacting. But then I found something, a crumpled piece of paper in the trash, with words that sent a chill down my spine, words that made me realize this wasn't just a simple secret. This was something bigger, something darker, and it was about to change everything. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to the beginning, to the moment I first realized that my quiet, predictable life was about to be turned upside down. Because what happened next? Well, let's just say I never imagined it could happen to someone like me. Stick around, because this story is just getting started. Lucas had always been a mystery to me, even before that night. He was quiet, reserved, and kept to himself most of the time. When I married Thomas 5 years ago, Lucas was just a teenager, polite but distant, like he was always holding something back. I tried to connect with him over the years, but it felt like there was an invisible wall between us. I told myself it was just the awkwardness of blending a family, but now I wasn't so sure. That crumpled piece of paper I found in the trash, it wasn't just random words, it was a name, a date, and an address scribbled in Lucas's handwriting. I didn't recognize any of it, but something about it felt off. Why would he be writing something like that? And why did he look so panicked when I walked into his room? My mind raced with possibilities, none of them good. Was he in trouble? Was someone threatening him? Or was it something even worse? I thought about confronting him, but every time I tried, the words stuck in my throat. Lucas had always been so guarded, and I didn't want to push him away. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized I couldn't just let it go. Whatever was going on, it felt bigger than just him. It felt like it could tear our family apart. Then, a few days later, I overheard him on the phone. His voice was low, urgent, like he was trying to keep someone from hearing. "I told you I'll handle it," he said. "Just don't say anything to anyone." My stomach dropped. Who was he talking to, and what was he trying to handle? I wanted to barge in and demand answers, but something stopped me. Maybe it was fear of what I might find out, or fear of what it might mean for all of us. The tension in the house grew thicker with each passing day. Thomas was still away, oblivious to everything, and I felt like I was carrying this secret alone. But secrets have a way of coming out, don't they? And when they do, nothing is ever the same. Little did I know, the worst was yet to come. The next morning, I found Lucas in the kitchen, his face pale and his hands shaking as he poured a cup of coffee. He looked like he hadn't slept at all. "Are you okay?" I asked, trying to sound casual. He glanced at me, his eyes darting away almost immediately. "Yeah, just tired," he muttered, but his voice lacked conviction. I wanted to press him, to ask about the phone call, the crumpled paper, everything. But before I could, he grabbed his keys and headed for the door. "I'll be back later," he said, leaving me standing there, my questions unanswered. Later that day, I decided to do something I never thought I'd do. I followed him. It felt wrong, like I was crossing a line, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. Lucas drove to a part of town I didn't recognize, parking outside a rundown building. He disappeared inside, and I sat in my car, my heart pounding. What was he doing here, and who was he meeting? The longer I waited, the more my mind raced with possibilities, each one darker than the last. Whatever was happening, it was clear Lucas was in over his head, and I had no idea how to help him. I waited in my car, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. Minutes felt like hours as I watched the building, my mind racing with worst-case scenarios. Finally, Lucas emerged, but he wasn't alone. A man in a dark hoodie followed him, their conversation tense and hurried. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but the way Lucas kept glancing over his shoulder sent a chill down my spine. The man handed him something small, a flash drive, an envelope, before disappearing back into the building. Lucas looked around nervously, then hurried to his car. My heart pounded as I debated what to do. Should I confront him? Follow him again? Before I could decide, my phone buzzed. It was Thomas. "Hey, I'm coming home early," he said, his voice cheerful. "Thought we could have dinner together." My stomach dropped. Thomas had no idea what was happening, and I wasn't sure how much longer I could keep this secret. As Lucas drove off, I knew I had to make a choice: stay silent and risk everything, or step into the chaos and face whatever was coming head on. But one thing was certain: the storm was about to hit, and none of us were ready. I followed Lucas home, my mind spinning with questions. As I pulled into the driveway, I noticed Thomas's car already parked there. My stomach churned. He wasn't supposed to be back for hours. Inside, I found them in the living room, their voices low but sharp. Thomas was holding the envelope Lucas had been given, his face a mix of anger and disbelief. "What is this, Lucas?" he demanded, shaking the envelope.